Welcome everybody. Um, so we were reading section number 2. So, how many of you accessed the Piazza forum? I shared the link yesterday to join Piazza forum. So you can post your questions there, and you can also start discussion there. And let's fix some date. Let's say by the end of this week, you can all give the test. Means, let's say on Saturday or Sunday, you can give test on the Learn Gita, Live Gita page, right? So they have a test there, so you all can give. And let's start with this conclusion of the last part. Yesterday we were discussing about, so first of all we discussed about the exploding frog, which means we should not be limited by our current knowledge or our current understanding, because we are always limited. Our senses are limited, my logic is limited, my inferences are limited. So everything is very limited. So I cannot become so puffed up that I won't listen to anything else, right? So I have to always keep myself aware of my own limitations. Like this is intelligence, right? So so earlier, before around, I think in Newton's time, everybody thought we can know everything, right? And physics or science means knowing everything. Means science means what all we can know. But then later there came Heisenberg's uncertainty principle and things like that, which said science is not just knowing how much I know, but also knowing how much I cannot know. I mean, what are my limitations, right? So not just my knowledge or my power to know, but also my limitations to know. So I should be aware of both. Then that is knowledge. Otherwise, it is not knowledge, right? So this section is focusing on what we cannot know. Means, because what are our limitations? So unless we know our limitations, we will make mistakes. Okay. Then a very important concept discussed in Bhagavad Gita was discussed yesterday, that there is a difference between matter and spirit, and the spirit or the spirit belongs to spiritual world, which means our actual home is in spiritual world, because our nature and that world's nature are compatible. Our nature and this world's nature are highly incompatible, and we discussed yesterday about these topics. So the conclusion of the last subsection was, all our endeavor must be to search for absolute truth, not to get entangled in ignorance. Distinguishing spirit from matter is the first step in this process. So the aim of this course will be to motivate you that there is something beyond matter, something spiritual, something eternal, and something timeless, which we are made up of. Right? So this is we distinguishing matter from spirit, and not getting entangled in ignorance. I was I'll tell you one very good experience. While I was at Amazon, I had a colleague. He is from Serbia in Europe, but he now he's in Boston. So he's a very intelligent person, senior scientist in our team, and we used to have lunch together, and we used to discuss something interesting. And that day it so happened that we were discussing about this thing, about about limitations of science, or means actually the discussion started. I said, see, science is always, means the, let's say, physics or science, they're always changing, they're always evolving. So sometimes somebody said this is the perfect theory, and then we are always changing. So it is very much possible that the current theories which we are studying, they must be incomplete. They might be incomplete, and they might also have many flaws. And so I thought, means generally people don't accept this, because I have discussed this with so many people, and they don't. I have discussed with even professors, and even they don't agree that the current theories or the current laws in physics or chemistry or sciences, they are flawed, or there is some possibility, a remote possibility of flaw in there. They always say, no, it is, we have been using them for so long and they are so perfect, there cannot be any change. Professors have told me this. And this person, he's a senior scientist, very intelligent. He's a PhD from University of California, University of California, something. It's in Los Angeles, UCLA maybe. So he was. So when I told him this thing, that the current theories can also be flawed, and I was discussing with him very passionately. See, this, we say this theory. I was counting it. There may be some flaw here. And you know what did he reply? He said, yes, why not? And I said, how can you say that? Means how can you agree so quickly? And then he gave me very nice understanding, which even I was surprised at. Means even he explained in such simple words. He said, see, there is data, and then you make your models to explain that data. And the same data can be explained with so many models. So whether it is classical mechanics or quantum mechanics or any latest theory you may talk of. So it is just explaining that same data, and who stops you from making different models? And means his understanding was so profound and so simple. I was really pleasantly surprised. Yes, so same data can be explained in so many ways. This is what we also discussed yesterday, that we have data, and we have differences amongst ourselves. So there are psychologists or who try to explain it in terms of some hazy theories, but Bhagavad Gita is very clear. Bhagavad Gita says this is the way it is, that okay, you have Jiva, so you have to have an eternal being Jiva who is affected by three modes, and that's how different behaviors, different kinds of behaviors manifest. So, and this has been a time-tested understanding, which is not just working very well, but also is very purifying. It gives us a higher vision, and when we work on it, we actually experience that higher reality, right? So this was something that we should be careful. We should not get entangled in ignorance. So Bhagavad Gita, when we approach Bhagavad Gita, we approach with respect, that okay, this is the knowledge given by Krishna himself and God himself. So whatever he is saying, so I should not limit myself to my current understanding, right? So that was the previous subsection. Let's start this subsection now, understanding the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. So the first spirit is that Lord Krishna is the absolute truth. Who is Lord Krishna? He is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, or the one who actually composed Bhagavad Gita, who speaks the message. So we accept him as the absolute truth. This is the spirit, which means this is the kind of this is the basis, or this is the, what is it called? In mathematics you say this is the axiom. This is the axiom. This is the axiom we start with. So let's see. Shri Krishna, the absolute truth. Shri Krishna, the absolute truth, and he is the speaker. Okay, maybe Shri Krishna is the absolute truth, and he is the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. Thus, the message of Bhagavad Gita is absolute, not subject to any interpretation. Vyasadeva is merely the compiler. You will see in Bhagavad Gita, whenever Krishna says, Vyasadeva doesn't write Shri Krishna Uvacha, rather he writes Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Everybody knows that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, then why did he write Shri Bhagavan Uvacha? Because he anticipated that a time will come in future when people will ascribe Lord Krishna as a mere human being. Thus, such understanding would minimize the absolute position of Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, to prevent such abuse of this great literature, Srila Vyasadeva wisely preserves Lord Krishna's supreme position. Krishna is God himself. That's why Bhagavad Gita is very enduring. It is God's instructions for humanity. So, the message is that we accept Krishna is the supreme absolute truth who is speaking this knowledge. So we approach this knowledge with respect. We approach this knowledge with respect that the teacher is highly qualified, right? If I join a course, let's say these days everybody is doing online courses, right? So if you join a course which is taught by some local university somewhere in some small city, then the teacher, when you see, you won't be much interested in listening to that course, right? But when you see a professor from a very reputed institute, let's say from MIT or from Stanford, he is giving a lecture on a topic, then definitely many will subscribe, right? So because the teacher is qualified, so people want to hear from a qualified teacher. So similarly here, Gita is a very difficult topic. It is the questions which are discussed here are very, very difficult to understand, but they are relevant to all of us, right? We yesterday discussed that how this knowledge is relevant not just to few people but to everybody, because this is about the self, which everybody needs, the knowledge of which everybody needs. So Krishna is discussing a very difficult topic, very important topic, and the teacher himself is the absolute truth or the most qualified person, right? So therefore we should approach this course or this knowledge with great respect, and whenever there is something we don't understand, rather than questioning Krishna, we question our own understanding. Or am I understanding it right? Am I doing it correctly? So, because this is not the first time somebody is reading Bhagavad Gita. Before us, many great saints and sages and people, they have read Bhagavad Gita and they have following this path, they have achieved perfection, right? So Purvairapi Mumukshibhi. So Krishna says in many places that with this knowledge, so many people already have attained perfection. So don't doubt this knowledge. So that is why whenever there is anything I don't understand, I try to make myself more qualified, more pure, and then I will be able to appreciate that knowledge. There are many things there is one sentence: I am not the body, I am spirit soul. And everywhere it is written, we think we are the body. And when I was even until recently, even now also, I thought, I don't say I am the body. I never say I am the body. Then why is Gita saying we always say we are the body? So this was my doubt, which I'm trying to clarify. But now I got some good indications that how I was thinking I am the body. Okay. So means whenever there is something we don't understand, then we question our own understanding rather than doubting Krishna or challenging Krishna, right? Okay. So it is just like we go to some class where some great speaker is speaking. Then we don't unnecessarily question that teacher, right? Means we ask questions, definitely we ask questions. Teacher will give some answer, but it is almost invariably it happens that my current understanding is very low, so I'm not able to grasp that answer properly. So what we do is we take the notes and we go back home, study more carefully, and try to understand better. The next day again come to class, again try to clarify things. But we don't start arguing with the teacher then and there. Oh, why did you speak like this? I don't think this is true, like that. So there is one thing is etiquette. The other thing is I have to recognize my own limitations. That I cannot understand everything in just one day or in just one lecture. So I have to be patient and slowly try to understand. Okay, so let's read further. Anybody has any questions here? Okay. Vyasadeva divided Vedas into 4 divisions for people of the age of Kali. He also wrote Puranas, Itihasas like Mahabharata. Finally, he wrote Brahma Sutras or Vedanta Sutras. After writing Brahma Sutra, he felt very dissatisfied at heart. And finally, after being guided by his spiritual master Naradji, he gave a natural commentary on Brahma Sutra in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. This literature directly narrates the transcendental glories of Lord Krishna in the form of his name, activities, form and abode. Bhagavad Gita is a part of the Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita is the juice of all Upanishads, hence it is also known as Gita Upanishad. Okay. Not only the great Vyasadeva ascertains Lord Krishna to be the absolute truth, the great acharyas like Adi Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, Nimbarka Swami, Vishnu Swami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also confirm this truth. In all the Vedic literature, this truth that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead has been established by great spiritual authorities like Naradji, Bhishmadev, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Kapil Dev, Prahlad, Janaka, Shukadev Maharaj, Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, the 4 Kumaras, Bali Maharaj, Yamaraj. These are 12 great authorities in our Vedic literature who have all confirmed that, or who have all ascertained that Krishna is the supreme absolute truth. So we should not have any doubt with the teacher. So okay, so here there are many points being given to ascertain that how Krishna is the absolute truth. So one is that okay, Vyasadeva himself has agreed, accepted, because Vyasadeva is the writer of Bhagavad Gita. He has said this is spoken by Sri Bhagavana, not by Sri Krishna, because people can think, oh, Sri Krishna is just one king who came, or just a very intelligent person who came on earth. That's why Vyasadeva is writing Sri Bhagavan Vacha. And then great authorities like Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, and all these personalities, if we discuss about their life and what kind of perfectly they lived, it puts us to awe that, oh, these people are such great personalities and they are accepting Krishna as the absolute truth. And then we read about, then the next is about so many other spiritual authorities like Naradji, Bhishmadev, etc. They have confirmed, or they have ascertained that Krishna is the absolute truth. Okay, maybe some questions can be asked here. One question is, okay, Krishna is the absolute truth. Give evidences, or what evidences can you give in support of this? Shri Krishna is the absolute truth. What evidences or what supporting evidences can you give in support of this, right? And we discussed 3 kinds of evidences. Vyasadeva, the others authorities like the great acharyas of current age, and then we discussed about other Vedic personalities, the great authorities like Naradji and all. Right? Okay. So this was about the position of Krishna, and then comes our position. So okay. So first is we understand the position of the teacher, then comes the position of the student. So the spirit number 2 is becoming a right thinker. So what is the meaning of a right thinker? Okay. A right thinker can churn the nectar from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita makes a person think. A person who always acts from a neutral position is a right thinker. Shri Krishna defines such a right thinker in Gita as Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashah indriyani indriyartabhyas tasya prajna pratishtita. Okay, we will discuss this in great details because this is very important. This is about becoming a right thinker. Okay. Let's quickly read it and then we will discuss. Lord Krishna further distinguishes right thinkers from those who are very ordinary in Bhagavad Gita as Ya Nisha Sarva Bhutanam Tasyam Jagarti Samyami Yasyam Jagarti Bhutani Sa Nisha Pashyato Munehe. What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective stage. Thus Bhagavad Gita is literature for those who can think. Anybody who can take interest in Gita starts thinking. This is the underlying sublime principle by which Gita works. Isn't this a wonderful thing? That's the sublime aspect of Bhagavad Gita. Anybody who will take shelter of Bhagavad Gita, he'll become a right thinker. A person who always acts from a neutral position is a right thinker. He is not biased by selfish mentality. He is not biased by others' selfish mentality. He is not biased by his own name and fame. Not biased by anything. The moment you are biased, you cannot become a right thinker. That's why the yogis of India leave everything, family, home and fame, and enter the caves of Himalayas or take shelter in holy place. There, they perform severe austerities and spiritual practices to gain neutrality. Neutral position means you neither have any hatred nor you are partial to anyone. You are able to see everyone as God's dear child. Okay. So this is the thing. Okay. And then the importance of right thinkers is told. One thinker is sufficient to guide 1,000 people. Taking into account that the current population is around 7 billion, we need 7 million people who are educated in Bhagavad Gita. These 7 million thinkers will be able to guide the world of 7 billion in the path of self-enlightenment, prosperity and peace. Then the world will become Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The real problem is that we don't have right thinkers. Srila Prabhupada once said that every village and city of India must be converted to Gita Nagari, following the footsteps of Mahatma Gandhi. Thus, we have endeavored to run this Bhagavad Gita correspondence course to reach out to all those who have no opportunity to be properly educated in the science of Bhagavad Gita. So, very essential, very important subsection. It tells us about our position, how a good student behaves, what are the qualities of a good student. And here, it is being told the only one quality which is most essential. What is that? What is that one single quality which is the most essential to learn Bhagavad Gita, which is being told in this section? Neutrality, yes. Neutrality is that quality. Being unbiased, being neutral. Okay. Where should I start with? Everything is very, very interesting. What is the meaning of neutral? Let's say, I think a few days ago I told you one example from my own life that when we write our research paper or when we go to present our work to some people who can benefit us in some way, let's say who are either our peers or who are our funders, like funding agency or people who are going to fund our research. So we always speak very big things about our own work, right? So which means we are highly biased that whatever I have made, that is the best. Why it is the best? Because I have made it. Right? Why it is the best? Because I have made it. So, yes, people say, Mera Bharat Mahan. Kyun? Kyunki mera hai. Because it's my India, that's why it is great. Agar main Pakistan mein ho, to Mera Pakistan Mahan. So wherever I am there, that is the best place. So this is a biased mentality. This is not a neutral position. But unbiased position is when I have no selfish motivation behind. I'll give you an example. Uh, this was told to us by a doctor who is into research. He's a professor and a doctor. He teaches in medical college. He was telling us, I think sir had invited him. That time he was telling. He said, so whenever a new medicine comes, who makes the medicines? These are not professors. These are not academicians, but these are industries, right? Pharmaceutical industries. So these companies, they have to spend so much to bring one medicine into market. It has so many stages of testing a single medicine. Let's say some researchers, they made some new medicine. Now they cannot directly sell it in the market. So this has to go through a long process of testing. So first this testing is done on cell lines. First, okay, chemical properties are studied, that it is safe and it works actually, and then it comes to cell line where you do experiments on cells, right? Some cells you extract and you work with them, and then once that is cleared, then it goes to further stages. It goes to animal testing where it is tested on animals like mice or guinea pigs or things like that, and then it goes further testing, and that stage, when that stage is also cleared, then it goes to human testing, right? And then they test on humans, and when that is also cleared, then FDA and everything, they have so many rules, so many regulations, and so many restrictions they impose. So, and after crossing everything, then it comes to the market. So it is a long process. So anybody who has invested, the company who has invested so much in this process, now imagine if at the last stage the medicine does not come out, the medicine fails, then all their effort is totally useless, totally failed. Means whatever money they have spent to do all that process, like for years, everything is waste. So the company will be at a big loss. So what they do is, they try to do everything very nicely, and finally, when even if they find some things are here or there, means the medicine is good, but it is not the best, or it is not that great. That naturally happens. That often happens in research. Whatever you make, it is not the best, but it is okay. It has some merits, some demerits. But now the person who has to sell it, he has to tell the merits in such a way that people buy it, right? So what they do is they organize big conferences. So the companies will fund big conferences, and in these big conferences they will hold in very scenic places like some island in America or things like that. And then they will invite big doctors there, all free of cost, with their families. And they will sponsor everything, the conference fees, the travel, their stay, and their sightseeing, roaming around, everything they sponsor completely. And they also, means they try to placate them in all possible ways. And when the doctors, they actually do it, they come from all over the world and into this conference, and then they attend this conference. There they present their medicines to them, and they means whatever the presentations and all they happen. And finally they ask these doctors, can you please endorse our medicines? Can you please endorse, means that so that the medicines will be, when they are endorsed by these reputed doctors, then everybody will have trust that yes, these medicines are very good and people will buy it, right? That will help the medicine sell quickly. Now these doctors who have already taken so much, so they are obliged to sign that. Even if they know, even if they find out that the medicine is not that great, or it has some problems also, but because they are obliged, because they have already come to the conference, means they have so much money has been spent on them, so they have already taken so much money. Now they have to sign it, they have to endorse it. So they become biased because of that. That is happening in academics. You can imagine how much of bias is there already. Even in academics, it is there. Um, so that is why just by doing a PhD or just by earning a degree, we cannot become unbiased. We have to really work on it, how to become unbiased. And that is why here a beautiful line comes. Anybody who will take shelter of Bhagavad Gita, he will become right thinker, which means he will become unbiased. He can only become neutral. Because otherwise, everybody, invariably, and I cannot help it because I have some selfish interests because of which I take some decisions. I take some, my thought process is biased by my selfish interests because I do have selfish interests. So the only way we can become neutral is by going above, by rising above our selfish interests. And that is possible by purification. That is why it is being told here that people, they, where is it? People, they go to holy places and they give up attachment to family, home and fame, because these are the things which bind us, right? My family makes me biased, my home makes me biased, and whatever gives me fame, that makes me biased, right? So all these things bias me. So how to become unbiased from all these things? That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches. So for example, Arjuna was told by, Arjuna is in this fight, but he was becoming biased not to fight, right? So why was he becoming biased? Because he saw all his family members were there in front of him with whom he had to fight. But so Krishna told, don't be biased by your family members or by your own kinsmen. You become unbiased. So that's why becoming unbiased is so important. Yeah, I think that is it. You can ask questions if you have. Any questions from anybody? Okay. I will ask one question which you can take home. The question is, so in your life, like think about yourself, think of some situation or think of what makes you biased, or maybe think of a situation where you were biased by some kind of selfishness or something which was holding you back from becoming unbiased. Just think about it. Means no need to share, but think about yours and think, how can I overcome that limitation? How can I become unbiased? Right? Think for yourself, and that may give you an idea. So somebody told me when I was in school, somebody told me, do you feel jealous of somebody? I said, no, I don't feel jealousy for anybody. I don't have envy for anybody. And that's what I told. And he said, are you sure? I said, yes, I don't feel envy or jealousy for anybody. And okay, that thing ended there finally. But when I came to IITK, I started reading Bhagavad Gita or started listening to Sir's lectures. Then I realized I am full of envy and jealousy. Right. So that was an eye opener for me, at least to recognize some limitations in myself, that how much envy and jealousy I have. Right. Similarly, so think about yourself. Okay, very good question. What is wrong in being famous? There is nothing wrong in being famous, but there is wrong in, what is being criticized is if I am biased by my fame, right? So he's not biased by his own name and fame. Becoming famous is not bad. I mean, anybody can be famous, but becoming biased by fame, that I want fame, that is why I take actions in such a way which will increase my popularity, right? That is not good. Or trying to be envious of others because they are more famous than me. There are so many things, like this is one, okay. Becoming envious of others who are more famous than me, or doing things which I know they are not correct, but I do them to be more famous. Right? For example, I gave you an example that when I write a paper, I will write it in a way, oh, this is the best work, nobody can beat this system, and I will glorify my own work like that, so that I can be more famous. That work gets more visibility and people really appreciate me, right? So, what can be other hazards of running after fame? Envious of others and presenting results wrongly, or over over glorifying my own results, my own work. You can suggest what are other things which I can do if I am after fame. Does that answer the question, Praveen? Somebody has some other understanding, please feel free to share. If somebody has some other understanding, or somebody has some other perspective on what is wrong in being famous, or what is wrong in being biased for fame. Okay. Fine. Thank you then. We'll end here today's discussion. I hope you're all having a good time chanting and doing kirtan at your home, and also doing some service like cleaning or cooking. Today I did some cooking and some cleaning, and yeah, and it is good. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.